What is up, everybody? It's JT Sports. I'm back to you guys with another video. This video, I'm here with my Alabama versus Florida 2020 SEC Championship game preview and prediction. Before I get into it, make sure that you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because I upload NFL videos and college football videos daily. One of my biggest goals heading into 2021 is to reach 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And by subscribing to the channel, you get me one subscriber closer to my goal of hitting 20K subscribers. So make sure that you guys go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. And also, if you haven't already, make sure that you all follow me on all of my social media platforms, which my Instagram and Twitter is both JT Sports _. The link to those are down in the description down below. So we have Alabama taking on Florida and the 2020 SEC Championship game. And I have been waiting nearly 2 months to talk about this game. So you have Alabama, who has pretty much obliterated every single body that they have played. My favorite game that Alabama has played this season was when they destroyed LSU. You may be like, JT, why did you enjoy watching Alabama destroy LSU? Well, I'm not an Alabama fan, and I'm not an LSU fan. The big reason why I enjoyed watching Alabama destroy LSU was because what LSU did last year. Listen, LSU beat Alabama. They didn't blow out Alabama, but they had a lot of things that went on after the game that kind of stuck with the Alabama coaches, with Nick Saban, and these Alabama players. So Alabama went into that LSU game looking to make a statement. As a matter of fact, there was a clip on Twitter that was trending. Nick Saban was interviewed before the game. And this has to be one of my favorite quotes of all time heading into a football game. Nick Saban said, LSU may think that they can beat Alabama, but we're going to have to change the way that they think. And that is one of my favorite quotes, and not just sports history, but in history in general. Like, change the way they think. I'm going to have to use that next time. Next time somebody tries to, play with my money or something like that, does want to pay up after a bet, I'm going to say, hey, man, if you want to pay me my money, I'm going to have to change the way you think. Not trying to be literal or anything like that, but I'm really excited for this game, man. Alabama's entering this game as a 17-point favorite, which is a big surprise to me because, listen, I understood that Alabama was going to be a favorite heading into this game, but I didn't think they would be a favorite to win this game by 17 points. Now, you have Florida, who pretty much threw away their college football playoff hopes. Literally, you had Marco Wilson, who threw a guy's shoe, which ended up allowing LSU to stay on the field, let LSU drive down the field, kick a 57-yard game-winning field goal, which pretty much won the game for LSU. And it was one of the best games in college football this season. Now, Florida, even though they pretty much have a small chance to make it to the college football playoffs after their upset against LSU, they still have a lot to play for. You are playing for an SEC championship, okay? And for these seniors, you would like to go out with a championship. You don't want to go out empty-handed. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing that you can't have a shot at the college football playoffs, but there is still a lot at stake for Florida heading into this game. And listen, I don't think that Alabama is going to blow out Florida, and I think that Florida has a better chance to win this game than what a lot of people are giving them credit for. Now, let's talk about the match between two of the best players in college football, Devonta Smith versus Kyle Pitts. And yes, I'm not saying Mac Jones versus Kyle Trask because I don't believe those two guys are the best players in college football. They're great quarterbacks, they're great college football players, don't get me wrong, but I think Devonta Smith and Kyle Pitts are the two best players in college football. When you look at how dominant these two guys have been when they have been on the field, it's nowhere close. Now, obviously, Devonta Smith is in the running for the Heisman Trophy. He should be the front runner to win the Heisman Trophy. And if the Heisman Trophy doesn't get awarded to Devonta Smith, I am going to be extremely irritated. And you're probably going to see me coming on YouTube making a very angry video saying why the Heisman Trophy is a joke. Because the Heisman Trophy is supposed to go to the best, most outstanding player in college football. And Devonta Smith has been the best and the most outstanding player in college football this season. And there's like this little weird thing that Heisman voters have that they just have to give the Heisman Trophy to a quarterback. Doesn't make any sense. Last time I checked, it was awarded to the best player in college football, not the best quarterback in college football. I think that's what the Davey O'Brien Award is awarded to, the best quarterback in college football. This is the Heisman Trophy. So give the Heisman Trophy to Devonta Smith. I understand Devonta Smith may not have the crazy backstory that you normally see a Heisman Trophy winner have, anything like that. But yeah, it's been the most dominant player in college football this year. So give Devonta Smith the Heisman Trophy. And if you don't, the Heisman Trophy is a joke. And I never really took the Heisman Trophy all that serious anyway, because you have the Pac-12 guys who most of the time vote for the Pac-12 player who is nominated. You have your ACC guys who vote for the ACC guys. You have your SEC guys who vote for the SEC guys. The Heisman Trophy is just a big propaganda award, if you ask me. Because you ask me, if Devonta Smith doesn't win a Heisman Trophy, I'm not going to take the Heisman Trophy serious ever again. And I never really took the Heisman Trophy all that serious. Anyway, now you got Kyle Pitts. When Kyle Pitts is on the field, he is just as dominant as a player as what Devonta Smith is. Now, he may not have the stats because he's a tight end, but Kyle Pitts is going to be one of the best tight ends entering the 2021 NFL Draft. As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. Kyle Pitts is going to be the best tight end entering the 2021 NFL Draft. He reminds me a lot of Travis Kelce. Like, a lot of people ask the question, what is Kyle Pitts? What kind of tight end is Kyle Pitts? Because you can do so much with Kyle Pitts. You can line him up at tight end, who pretty much is a matchup nightmare for linebackers because his route running, his skill set is just too difficult for a linebacker to cover. And he's too big and too physical for most defensive backs to cover as well. And Kyle Pitts reminds me a lot of Travis Kelce. When you look at what Travis Kelce does for the Kansas City Chiefs, they line him up at tight end. He's a matchup nightmare for linebackers, but also they can put him at wide receiver as well. So that is the closest comparison that I have to Kyle Pitts, is Travis Kelce with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm really excited to see Devonta Smith and Kyle Pitts, two of the best players in college football, go up head to head. Now, Devonta Smith, how is Florida going to stop Devonta Smith? Because you can't trust Marco Wilson. Because not only does Marco Wilson throw the game away, but he also is somebody who you can't rely on to cover your number one best receiver. So my thoughts is that they're probably going to have Kaiir Elam sticking on Devonta Smith. That would be the more smarter option. Because listen, for Florida, you are going to have to try to guard Devonta Smith one-on-one. I mean, you have two good corners. I mean, Marco Wilson is supposed to be a good corner. And you have Kaiir Elam, who is one of the best cornerbacks in college football, who doesn't really get a lot of credit and talked about enough by the media. Everybody talks about Derek Stingley, but nobody really talks about how good Kaiir Elam is for Florida. He's one of the best cornerbacks in college football. So I want to see, are either one of those guys going to be able to go man-to-man or guard Devonta Smith one-on-one? Because I think it could be a really big boost to a Florida defense that has struggled for the entire season if they can have one of their best cornerbacks be able to guard Devonta Smith one-on-one. But let's be honest, I don't really think that's going to happen. If Derek Stingley can't guard Devonta Smith one-on-one, I doubt either one of these two talented Florida cornerbacks are going to be able to guard Devonta Smith one-on-one. But hopefully, if you are a Florida fan, you're crossing fingers and you are praying to God, if you believe in God, that one of these two cornerbacks for Florida are going to be able to get the job done. But I don't really see that happening. So if you're a Florida fan, a lot of Florida fans have been telling me that, JT, Florida has a great chance to win this game because this is the best offense that Alabama has faced all year, which is true. But you also got to take into account this. This is the best offense that Florida has faced all year. And that goes to the next question, which is, which one of these two defenses is going to be able to get stops and is going to help their team win the game? Because Alabama's defense has been really good ever since Ole Miss nearly put up 1,000,000 yards on them. They've been really good this year. But they haven't really faced a dynamic offense like Florida. And for Florida, you have been matched up against pretty good defenses. You were pretty good against Georgia. Your offense was pretty solid against Texas A&M, even though you lost that game. But for Florida, is your defense going to be able to get a stop against Alabama? I don't know. And I understand that the narrative heading into this game is that Alabama's defense hasn't been tested by an offense like Florida. And I understand that. But if you were to ask me, JT, you have $1,000. You have to bet on one of these two defenses to get a stop. Who would you bet on with your $1,000 to get a stop first? Alabama or Florida? My money would be on Alabama's defense, because although Alabama's defense may not be as good as what we think it is, I still have a lot more confidence in Alabama's defense than Florida's defense. And the reason for that is because I think that Alabama has more talent than what Florida has on defense. Alabama has a pretty good secondary. You have Patrick Surtain, who is going to be a future top 10 pick in the 2021 NFL draft. He is the best cornerback heading into the 2021 NFL draft. You have Dylan Moses. You have a really good defensive line. Like, I think that Alabama has a really talented defense. And the reason why I have more confidence in Alabama's defense than I do in Florida's defense is because Florida can't run the football. Florida is one-dimensional. Florida is the college football version of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a good offensive line, they have good wide receivers, but they can't run the football to save their lives, especially when they get inside the red zone. That's how you know you're a bad running football team, when you can't even pick up 1 or 2 yards on the ground. In Florida, in that LSU game last week, I barely saw Florida attempt to run the football inside the red zone. I think Florida only tried to run the football inside the red zone like, 3 or 4 times? So that Florida run game, man, I have a lot of concern with. And if you're Alabama, all you really have to do is worry about defending the pass with Kyle Pitts and with Kadarius Toney. But for Florida, if you are going to try to pull off the upset and win this game, you're going to have to be able to find a way to run the football, because I don't really think that Florida has a great chance to win this game if they can't manage to have somewhat of a running game, because the key to being Alabama is keeping their offense off the field. And I understand that Florida's offense is good enough to go toe-to-toe with Alabama, point for point with Alabama, but at the end of the day, Florida's defense can't get a stop. Alabama's defense can get a stop. And for you Florida fans out there who are making it seem like your offense is unstoppable, your offense is not unstoppable. Your offense got, I want to say they got, surprised by LSU's defense, but LSU's defense held their own against Florida. They had 3 turnovers, they had 2 interceptions, they had a fumble recovery. In that one point in the game, LSU's defense forced Florida's offense to go 3 and out for 3 straight drives in a row. I can't remember what quarter that was. I think it was the 3rd quarter that LSU made Florida go 3 and out, 3 straight drives in a row. I don't remember. I think it was the 3rd quarter that happened. Either the 3rd or the 4th quarter that had happened. But LSU had a bunch of freshmen playing in that game, a bunch of guys who don't really have a lot of experience, and that defense did really good. And I understand that Florida didn't have Kyle Pitts, but let's not act like Florida has been scoring every single drive every time they touch the football. So let's not act like this Florida offense cannot be stopped. Now, Alabama's offense, in Florida's case, I don't really think they can be stopped, because, listen, even if you are able to stop the passing game, how are you going to stop Najee Harris? Florida's run defense hasn't been all that great this year. So you have to game plan to try to stop this pass attack of Alabama. And you have to game plan to try to stop this running game of Alabama. It's pick your poison. I don't really know if Florida is going to be able to do either one. Now, for Alabama on defense, they have their own problems to worry about, because how in God's earth are you going to be able to stop Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts is just as dominant as what Devonta Smith is. And I know a lot of you Alabama fans may get a little bit irritated by that statement, but he is. Because this dude is a matchup nightmare. I don't know if Dylan Moses is one of the best linebackers in college football. He's the 2nd best linebacker prospect entering the 2021 NFL draft behind Michael Parsons. He is better in coverage than Michael Parsons, in my opinion. And he's a really good linebacker, really solid. But my question is, how is he going to hold up in coverage against Kyle Pitts? Okay, are you going to put Dylan Moses on Kyle Pitts? Or are you going to put Patrick Surtain on Kyle Pitts? I really want to see Patrick Surtain versus Kyle Pitts, because Patrick Surtain is supposed to be a top 10 pick in next year's NFL draft. And if you can't stop Kyle Pitts, then I question your ability of how good of NFL prospect you are. If you are supposed to be the #1 cornerback heading into the 2021 NFL draft, I expect you to be able to hold your own against Kyle Pitts. So I really hope that Alabama matches up Patrick Surtain with Kyle Pitts when Alabama has to end up, having to put a cornerback out wide. The matchup with Kyle Pitts when Florida decides to put Kyle Pitts out wide receiver. I really cannot wait for that matchup. So for Alabama, you also can't worry about Kyle Pitts. You also have to worry about Kadarius Toney as well, who is one of the more underrated wide receivers in college football. Kadarius Toney may be the best wide receiver in college football this year with what he's able to do with the ball in his hands. So Alabama has a great offense. Florida has a great offense. But the question that this game is going to come down to is which one of these two teams' defenses is going to be able to get the stop. Now, for Florida, they're going to have some kind of a run game if they want to be able to win this game. They're 98th in college football, and rushing yards per game, they average 127.1 rushing yards per game. That's not good. So if Florida wants to be able to win this game, like I alluded to earlier, you have to be able to be balanced on offense. You have to be able to run the football. You also have to be able to throw the football, which Florida has had no problem doing this year. But the key to being Alabama is being able to keep their offense off the field. And trust me, Alabama realizes how good Florida's offense is, and I'm pretty sure Alabama is going to have the game plan that they want to run the football and Najee Harris down Florida's throats until Florida can prove to Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian that they can stop the run. So if you're Florida, you're going to have to be able to run the football as well because Alabama is going to be trying to play keep away. And if you're Florida, you want to play keep away from Alabama as well because your defense hasn't been good, and your defense is way worse than Alabama's. Alabama's defense has been pretty good this year. Meanwhile, your defense has been the opposite. Your defense has been absolutely terrible. So if you're Florida, not only does running the football keep Alabama's offense off the field, but it keeps your defense off the field. Because trust me, if your defense is on the field in this game, I don't really think, unless Florida is able to force a couple of turnovers, I don't really think Florida's defense is going to be able to stop Alabama's offense. So the best scenario for Florida is the fact that you can find a way to run the football and keep your defense and Alabama's offense off the field. So for Florida to win this game, I think that it is really imperative that they have to be able to run the football. Now, they do not have to run the football to win this game. Let me clear that right out the way. Like, if this game ends up being a shootout, Florida can go toe-to-toe with Alabama. Florida can match Alabama point for point. Nobody's questioning that. Everybody knows that Florida has one of the best offenses in college football. We know that. But for Florida, I really think that being able to run the football and being able to be balanced on offense could really go a long way in helping Florida pull off this upset. And let's be honest, okay? For Florida to win this game, you're going to have to be able to take Alabama's offense and keep them on the sideline. So for Florida, you have to be able to run the football. But I don't really have a lot of confidence in Florida being able to run the football because basically at this point of the season, you are what you are. If you can't run the football, if you couldn't run the football all year, you're most likely not going to be able to run the football in the SEC championship game against Alabama. So for Florida, can they run the football? I don't know. Do they have to run the football to win? They don't, but running the football would increase their chances of being able to win this game. But I do think that the run game for Florida is really important. If Florida is able to win this game, I think the run game could have a really big part of that. Now, let me give you guys the game plan for Todd Grantham. Because obviously Todd Grantham has had a really long and hard year as a defensive coordinator for Florida. So allow me to assist Todd Grantham. Todd Grantham, if you're watching this, I'm going to give you some keys to what you have to do to stop Alabama's offense, or at least try to give you somewhat of a game plan on how you can somewhat slow down this Alabama offense. Because let's face it, I understand, Todd Grantham, that you are a defensive coordinator, but let's be honest, you haven't really done all that great of a job this year. You got cussed out by Dan Mullen a couple of weeks ago. You haven't really done a good job, and you got shredded to pieces by a true freshman quarterback last week in LSU with a bunch of true freshman wide receiver. So for Todd Grantham, allow me to assist you in creating your defensive game plan in terms of trying to slow down Alabama's offense. The first thing that Florida needs to be able to do is don't allow any big passing plays. If I'm Florida, I am not going to allow Alabama to beat me over the top with Devonta Smith. I am going to force Alabama to take what they get underneath. Florida has a pretty athletic group of linebackers that they should be able to close in on the ball pretty fast, and they do have a pretty good defensive line as well. So if I'm Todd Grantham, I am forcing Alabama to beat me by throwing the ball underneath. I'm not going to allow Alabama to beat me by throwing 50, 60-yard bombs down the field like they were against LSU. So if you're Todd Grantham, force Alabama to beat you underneath. You have a better chance that way than allowing Alabama just to, just throw 60, 70-yard highlight reel bombs to Devonta Smith all day. The next thing that Florida needs to be able to do is, listen, let's be honest. If you are going to allow Alabama to do whatever they want to do underneath and not allow the big plays, you have to be good situationally. So for Florida, Alabama is pretty much going to have a lot of yards. But what Florida has to be able to do to win this game is you have to have a bend but don't break defense. You have to be good situationally. You have to be good and being able to get off the field on third down. And you have to be able to be good inside the red zone. When Alabama gets inside the red zone, keep Alabama from getting touchdowns and force them to kick field goals. Then on third down, get off the field on third down. And the key to that is being able to win on the early downs on the defense side of football for Florida, because believe it or not, Alabama does most of their damage on first and second down. Alabama doesn't really have a lot of third down situations. As a matter of fact, they are 124th in college football in third down attempts. Not because they're bad on third down. That's because they don't really have a lot of situations that they are put in third down situations because they're so good on first down and second down. So if you're Florida, you have to be able to win on the early downs. At least be able to win on first down, if anything. And those are my keys to the game of what Florida has to be able to do defensively if they want to be able to try to shut down or slow down this Alabama offense. So let me go over those. Let me summarize. If you're Florida, do not allow Alabama to beat you throwing the ball over the top. Force Alabama to take whatever they want to get underneath. Okay, next thing is you have to be good situationally. Be able to get stops inside the red zone, force Alabama to come away with field goals instead of touchdowns. You also have to be able to get off the field on third down. And by doing that, you have to be able to win on the early downs. You have to be able to win on first and second down because Alabama is really good on first and second down, and they don't really have a lot of situations that they're put in and having to convert on third down. And Florida has a pretty good defensive line. I really like Florida's defensive line. Now, they're going to be matched up against one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in college football with Alabama. But I think that if you are Florida, you like your chances there because your defensive line is really good. Alabama's offensive line is really good. But at the end of the day, I still think that Alabama offensive line could give up a couple of pressures to Florida's defensive line because I think Florida's defensive line is a little bit underrated. And the next thing that Florida has to be able to do, I think this is the most important thing, is you have to make Mac Jones uncomfortable in the pocket, which is really hard to do when you look at how good Alabama's offensive line has been. But for Florida, if you're able to hit home on some of your blitzes and you're able to get some pressure on Mac Jones, force Mac Jones to get outside the pocket because Mac Jones doesn't really have the best of being able to make things happen with his legs. He's pretty much a pure pocket passer, which Kyle Trask is as well. But for Mac Jones, you rather Mac Jones have to be able to extend plays with his legs than allow Mac Jones to sit back in the pocket all day and stretch your defense. So if you're Florida, you have to be able to make sure that your pass rush and some of your blitzes are able to hit home. Now, with how good Alabama's offensive line is, that pretty much is going to work more times than not. But if you're able to get pressure on Mac Jones on third down, you're able to mix up some of your blitzes, some of your coverages, and confuse Mac Jones, you have a really good chance of being able to get off the field on third down. But that's going to be easier said than done because Alabama has one of the best offensive lines in college football. Now, Florida has a really good offensive line as well, and they have one of the best offensive lines in college football. Even though their offensive line did kind of struggle last week against LSU, I still think that Florida has a pretty decent offensive line. Now, they're going to be matched up against the Alabama defensive line that has been really good over the last couple of weeks. So, I'm really interested in seeing the offensive line play of these two teams and how these two teams' defenses match up on the defensive line as well. So, let's talk about Mac Jones versus Kyle Trask. So, Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, in my opinion, are two of the most disrespected quarterbacks entering the 2021 NFL Draft. And for those of you guys who don't know, I'm an NFL Draft geek. That's all I talk about. But these are two of the best quarterbacks in college football. But in terms of an NFL Draft perspective, these two quarterbacks are disrespected because they aren't really that much of a threat to do anything with their legs on the ground. And on top of that, a lot of people look at Mac Jones as a game manager. Now, Kyle Trask has really good pocket awareness. He's really good moving inside of the pocket. He has really good footwork as well to make up for his lack of mobility. And a lot of people are a lot higher on Kyle Trask than they are on Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones is disrespected because a lot of people still think that Mac Jones is a game manager. I was reading a couple of NFL scouting reports on Mac Jones the other day, and a couple of anonymous general managers felt like he was another version of A.J. McCarron for stronger arm, and a lot of people feel like Mac Jones benefits from having the best offensive line in college football, having Najee Harris, and having Devonta Smith in this loaded group of wide receivers, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because Joe Burrow was throwing to Terrence Marshall, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson last year behind the best offensive line in college football, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire at halfback. Justin Fields has a really good wide receiver group. He has a really good offensive line. Trevor Lawrence has a really good group of wide receivers. He has Travis Etienne in the backfield. He has a really good offensive line. So the best quarterbacks who are playing for the best programs in college football are going to have the best wide receivers to work with. So why is it that when Joe Burrow was entering the NFL draft that he was the best quarterback despite being able to throw to Jamar Chase, Terrence Marshall, and everybody else, but meanwhile Mac Jones gets penalized for having a talented group, for having a good offensive line, for having Najee Harris, for having Devonta Smith? Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Tua Tagovailoa was throwing to Devonta Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, and Henry Ruggs last year, and I didn't see nobody talk about that. So why is it that people never really considered these factors into equation when it came to Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa? Didn't really see a lot of scouts calling those guys game manager, but for some reason, people want to call Mac Jones a game manager for some reason. Mac Jones may not be the flashiest guy, but show my guy Mac Jones some respect. Mac Jones is not a game manager. I'm so tired of people disrespecting Mac Jones, trying to call my guy Mac Jones a game manager. I think that is really disrespectful towards Mac Jones because Mac Jones has been just as good as what Tua was with the same talent. People act like Tua wasn't throwing to Jerry Jeudy, like he wasn't throwing to Devonta Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle. So I'm so tired of this, oh, Mac Jones is a game manager narrative. Like, that really gets underneath my nerves, man. I may be a lot of, or not even a lot biased. I may be really biased towards Mac Jones because he played for Bowles High School in Jacksonville. I currently do reside in Jacksonville. I'm a big fan of Mac Jones. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, okay? But I think that it is really disrespectful to call Mac Jones a game manager. I think he deserves a lot more respect. So the team I'm going to take to win this game, after 27 minutes and 45 seconds of me running my mouth, I'm taking Alabama to win this game. I don't think this game is going to be a blowout. I think Alabama wins this game 42-31. I think Florida is going to put up a lot of points. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. This is going to be back and forth. But at the end of the day, I trust Alabama's defense more than I trust Florida's defense to be able to get a key stop. I haven't really had a lot of confidence in Florida's defense all year. And I understand that if you are a Florida fan, you're going to say, well, this is the best offense Alabama has faced all year, which is true, but Alabama has a lot of talent on defense. They have a lot of guys on this defense that is going to be drafted in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft, and I think that their defense is better suited against this Florida offense because Florida's offense is run-dimensional. Unless Florida finds a way to have success running the football in this game, which I doubt they will, because if you haven't been able to run the football all year, I doubt you're going to be able to piece everything together in one game. So for Alabama, yes, Florida is the best offense they have faced. Yes, Alabama's defense may struggle, but then you also got to take into account that Florida is one-dimensional. All Alabama really has to do is try to find a way to stop the passing game, try to find a way to stop Kyle Pitts. They don't have to worry about trying to stop the run game. Meanwhile, Florida's defense, they're going to have to worry about not only getting beat in the passing game, but also trying to figure out a way to stop Najee Harris as well. So I just think that Alabama's defense is going to be able to get more key stops in this game, and they're going to be able to win this game, and Alabama's offense is going to put up a lot of points on Florida's defense. I think Alabama wins this one 42-31. to 31 is my final score prediction in this game. So let me know what you guys think about this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more college football videos and college football content as well. And listen, I'm really excited for this game, man. I've been waiting for nearly 2 months to watch this game. I'm really excited to see how this game unfolds. I'm really looking at the matchup between Steve Sarkisian and defensive coordinator for Florida, Todd Grantham. I want to see a Todd Grantham, what his defensive strategy is going to be in terms of trying to stop this Alabama offense, because a lot of people have been heavily critical of Todd Grantham. A lot of people believe that Todd Grantham could be out as the defensive coordinator for Florida after this season. So I want to see what Todd Grantham does. This is pretty much going to be a great opportunity for Todd Grantham to show what he can do against this Alabama offense. And I want to see what Kyle Trask is going to do against Mac Jones. This is a really exciting matchup. Mac Jones is considered the Heisman frontrunner as of right now, even though it should be Devonta Smith. I want to see what Devonta Smith and Kyle Pitts are going to do. I want to see the matchup between Dylan Moses and Kyle Pitts, and Patrick Surtain versus Kyle Pitts. I'm really excited about this game, man. So let me know who you guys think is going to end up winning this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, make sure that you guys follow me on Instagram and Twitter.